Welcome to Tilly's Trans Tuesdays. We fight and we struggle to do the work to accept the truth of who we are, and a whole lot of people in our lives are primed to punish us for it. Let's get into the imperfect trans allegory of K-Pop Demon Hunters, Part 3. Hi, I'm Tilly Bridges, your host, and I'm joined by my writing partner, my best friend, my wife, our token cis representation, a lady who'd never punish me for who I am, Susan Bridges.
Hello.
And our returning guest is the magnificent Jeremy Holt. Welcome back again, Jeremy.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, let's dive right in. And because you are waking up to the ways of the world, you'll want all the information you can get your hands on, and listening to parts 1 and 2 in episodes 166 and 167 is the way to do that. 42 minutes, 49 seconds. Huntrix works on their song to take down the Saja boys, but Rumi coughs with only speaking lyrics. It's getting harder and harder for her to keep up the facade. 43 minutes, 15 seconds. Rumi corners a demon. Are you a prisoner too? Is Guima making you do this? Mira kills the demon before it can respond. Rumi has never asked this before, and she reacted emphatically against demons being anything more than evil and worth destroying when Zoe suggested maybe they weren't all evil. Her growing doubts about maintaining the cis lie and her encounter with the community in Genu are changing her. 43 minutes, 44 seconds. While working on their Saja Boys diss track, Mira suggests the lyrics, "A demon with no feelings doesn't deserve to live." Zoe says it's so obvious. Rumi is bothered by it, but doesn't say anything. 45 minutes, 36 seconds. Genu. Look, if I help Guima, he's promised to erase my memories, and those voices in my head will be gone. This is just like Cypher in The Matrix, wanting to go back in and forget that he knows the truth because it is too difficult to deal with. Rumi calls Genu pathetic. Genu, I'm pathetic. You can't even talk about your patterns. Rumi, you want to talk about patterns? I hate them, just like I hate all demons, how I hate Guima. Genu, if hate could defeat Guima, I would have done it a long time ago. Hate can't defeat hate, which, okay, I am sorry, but is a key theme of Matrix Revolutions. Really, please just read Begin Transmission maybe already. I'll ask your library to get it or whatever. 46 minutes, 24 seconds. A young fan gives Genu a drawing of him as an angel that says, "Genu, you have a beautiful soul." It makes him think. 46 minutes, 56 seconds. Rumi's working on the diss track, quietly sings, "When your patterns start to show, I see a pain that lies below." She knows. Is she finally admitting it to herself, even while thinking she's singing about Genu? 47 minutes, 56 seconds. Mira asks why Rumi's changing the lyrics. Rumi, do you really think this is the song to beat Guima? It is so hateful. Mira, yeah, because we hate him and we hate demons. 48 minutes, 20 seconds. Mira, I just can't shake this feeling that you're keeping something from me. Rumi lies and denies it. Mira apologizes. I can't wait until every demon is destroyed and sent back to suffer with Guima for all eternity. Right, Rumi? Rumi, yeah, eternal suffering. Sounds fun. Hey, that's what she's already dealing with by being forced to live a lie. 49 minutes, 6 seconds. The Saja Boys' popularity grows and they harvest more souls, which leads to missing persons. So we see that when souls are harvested for Guima, the people they belong to disappear from the world, which is definitely how it feels when someone you knew and cared about falls over the edge into transphobia and makes it their entire personality, like they always do. 49 minutes, 55 seconds. Rumi meets with Genu again. Rumi, what if I told you there's another way to get your freedom? Help us win the Idol Awards, because when we win, the Han Moon will be sealed, and that will guarantee your freedom. Guima will be permanently cut off, and all the demons will be gone from this world. I will finally be free of these patterns. No more hiding, no more secrets. You can be on this side when the Hanmun is sealed, away from the demon world, away from Guima. You can be free from those voices forever. And if you don't see where this is heading, stick with me until the end. Jinu, what makes you think the Hanmun can save a guy like me? Rumi, a guy who tried to help his family? You made a mistake, Jinu, but I am a mistake, have been since the moment I was born. So I have to believe, because if there's no hope for you, what hope is there for me? Rumi, that's the funny thing about hope. Nobody else gets to decide if you feel it. That choice belongs to you. Jinu, for what it's worth, I don't think you're a mistake. Note how they can each support the other in ways they cannot support themselves, even though they both have demon patterns, aka are trans. This is again another aspect of the importance of community. We can often spot internalized transphobia in each other easier than we can spot it in ourselves. Once again, episode 18 is your destination for more on that topic. 52 minutes, 15 seconds. Huntrix is rehearsing the Saja Boys diss track, but Rumi's again thrown off by the lyrics. 53 minutes, 21 seconds. Huntrix argues as they kill demons. Mira, why are you questioning everything we stand for when we're so close to sealing the Hanmun? What are you not telling us, Rumi? What are you hiding from us? If you are with us, prove it. And then they kill a whole lot more demons. Rumi singing, trying to convince herself, all while hating herself. A demon with no feelings doesn't deserve to live. It's so obvious. Zoe, you know I'm always on your side, but it's really hard to understand this time. We can't win this without your voice, Rumi. Even your friends, even those you love most and who claim they love you, will withdraw that support when you display signs of your truth. Again, this is what my mother did to me at every hint of the inner girl I was, all while claiming that she loved me no matter what. But her love was always conditional and based on me living up to the idea of who I was in her head and not who I actually am. Listen to episode 19 on trans parents and Mother's Day for more on that complicated issue. Did you run into that at any point in your transition and your experience with it, Jeremy, where living up to other people's expectations of who they thought you were made it more difficult for you to figure yourself out?
I think I don't know if my parents ever had explicit expectations of who I was gonna be. I do give them credit to the fact that they allowed my brothers and I to I'm a triplet, so I have 2 adopted siblings or bio siblings, and so to allow us to just kind of forge our own path and they didn't have any qualms with me going to art school, even though as someone who's graduated from art school, I would have serious and long conversations with my kids were they to want to go to art school. The irony there, but I think really it was deciding to come out to them because I felt it was gonna eventually reach them and it would be best if I told them directly.
Sure.
But little did I know that most of them were not in any position to provide any support, and it became an intervention of sorts.
Oh, no.
And I was home for the holidays, and I specifically remember saying to them, I don't have all the answers. I'm open to any questions you might have, but I also need to preface by saying that I am learning this as I go, and I will have some things I can speak to and some things I can't. And my mom said, "Why can't you just be gay?"
Mm,
And I said,
I,
"Well, that's not what we're talking about."
yeah.
And then my brother said, "Bro, I've been researching this." I said, "Oh, that's encouraging to hear." He says, "If you want to be a woman, just be a woman." And I'm like, "That's also not what we're talking about."
Yeah.
And also this is not there are no questions. There are no questions. I mean, the side question, why can't you be gay, is sort of missing the point. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was in that moment I thought, oh God, this was a mistake. This was a mistake. And I remember my dad, who's not a man of many words, said that I enjoyed drama and I was just trying to create drama, which was
Oh,
surprising. And my oldest sister was the only one who really showed any allyship because my mom tried to rope her into this conversation and she said, I refuse to sit here and persecute Jeremy for the person I've always known them to be. And this changes nothing. So I'm not going to sit here and do this. And I was like, Dad,
hell yeah.
do more of that.
Hell yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a huge disappointment. And naturally, it's shocking to me that I recently brought this up to my mom as of like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she has no memory of this. And I said, "Of course you don't." And I said, "There's no way that I made all of this up in my free time. Like, this
Yeah.
was extremely impactful, and it clearly didn't impact you at all, which is why I'm not surprised you don't remember it." But it is shocking sometimes the things people don't remember.
Yeah, there's so many of us I think here, why can't you just be gay or you're just doing it for attention, like even the Republicans are using that kind of stuff against us, and it's just so horrible to not even understand, like there's a more acceptable version of queer that's never going to work for anybody because they'll always move those goalposts, why can't you just hide that you're gay? Why can't you just pretend you're not gay? Why can't, and it never ends. And I know
Why
you
does it have to be in our faces?
yeah. When heterosexual relationships are thrown in our faces
Meanwhile,
literally everywhere.
Meanwhile, the 2 3-year-olds over there, and there's some lady going, "They should kiss."
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
future heartbreaker on children's clothes. It's like,
Yes.
Like,
gross,
so
gross.
gross.
No.
Why?
I
It
know that
yeah.
you, even as a cis person, had a lot of, like, expectations your parents laid upon you that made things difficult for you.
Well, yes. It's not quite the same thing, but
No, but
like I was in a very conservative Christian upbringing up through like 8th grade, and I didn't have any friends because all of those children were monsters. And I like really wanted to go to public school. I begged my parents to send me to public school because I'm like, I'm not going to know anyone when I get to high school, and everyone else will know everyone. And that's exactly what happened.
yeah.
I knew like
Mm,
3 people at my high school when I
But even more than that, like when you said about
wasn't
how
allowed to pick my clothes.
right.
Like there are photos
mm.
of me in some truly incredible, like flowered dresses that are the most embarrassing things you've ever seen. Like,
Wow.
but yeah, like, and then when I was in college, like I happened to be shopping with my mom, and I tried to pick out an outfit that she did not like.
Yeah.
She just freaked out.
See, what I'm trying to get at is that, like, you as a cis person or any cis person listening or any cis person out there may not know what it is like to have to explore your gender, to figure your own gender out, to be trans, but you know what it is like to have those expectations of other people of who you are that you don't measure up to and don't want to measure up to because they're not you. And so I think if you
And even
just
if it's not family, it's society.
right.
You're always being pressured. For all
Exactly. Like we
different
were
Yeah.
just talking about that last episode with kids in middle school and the way that they're pressured by all of their schoolmates. And so it's just like you can identify with a lot of what trans people go through, even if not the gender part specifically, because
You
we're
don't
all
have to
dealing
reach
with
that far, really. You just have to
right.
think about it for half a second.
Half a second.
And I think with generational aspects to it, it's when I came out, my extended family, like aunts and uncles, were going to my mom because I think they are of the generation where mom knows best. And so
Mm,
I
yeah.
I haven't had these conversations with, like, a particular aunt where I said, "Why not come to me with these questions? Because how is your sister possibly gonna answer them when she can't understand it herself?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't understand why you never came to me with questions," or, my youngest sister is also adopted, Chinese American, who has been gay her entire existence. She never questioned it. She knew, and I asked her once, I said, "How early on did you know?" And she said, I think she said she must have been, like, in 5th 4th or 5th grade, and the first time she saw a Britney Spears music video, she's like, "I know." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Alright." And
Amazing.
and the fact that she's always known, and even my mom struggles with that, even though she will say, "I have gay friends," and I said, "You have gay male friends, which is very different, and the
Yeah.
gay man is such an accepted person in society that
And the
it's,
most privileged, a lot of
and
The
the
times.
cis
most
gay men.
privileged.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes, and it's that whole conversation that my mom also wouldn't really understand the nuances of, but yeah, it is frustrating where, you have to kind of constantly recalibrate.
Yeah, absolutely. 55 minutes, 53 seconds. Rumi meets with Genu again. Genu, I want to believe in your crazy plan, but I don't think I'm the one to help you. Rumi, actually, you already have. I spent my whole life keeping this secret, this shame of what I am, and the more I hid this shame, the more it grew and grew until it started to destroy the one thing that gave me a purpose, my voice. But since I've met you, and the more I talk to you, I don't understand it, but somehow my voice has healed. Being around other trans people, around community, makes her feel like there is a place for her, like she belongs, even while she's still struggling to accept herself. Singing, I tried to hide, but something broke. I tried to sing, couldn't hit the notes. The words kept catching in my throat. I tried to smile, I was suffocating though. But here with you, I can finally breathe. You say you're no good, but you're good for me. I've been hoping to change. Now I know we can change, but I won't if you're not by my side. Why does it feel right every time I let you in? Why does it feel like I can tell you anything? All the secrets that keep me in chains and all the damage that might make me dangerous. You got a dark side. Guess you're not the only one. What if we both tried fighting what we're running from? We can't fix it if we never face it. What if we find a way to escape it? Let the past be the past till it's weightless. Genu singing. You're waking up all these parts of me I thought were buried for good. Between imposter and this monster, I've been lost inside my head. Ain't no choice when all these voices keep pointing me towards no end. It's just easy when I'm with you. No one sees me the way you do. Rumi, so take my hand, it's open. What if we heal what's broken? So the beauty in this song is both Rumi and Genu think they're talking about banishing their transness so they never have to think about it again. But subconsciously, they're both actually talking about living a life where they're free to be their trans selves, and they're banishing the false cis shells so they never have to think about those again. When they rise into the sky together, the colors are super transy. 59 minutes, 26 seconds, Genu. I don't hear Guima's voice. I'll make sure the Saja boys lose tomorrow. Rumi. Then we'll both win. Genu almost comes clean about his past, but then chickens out. 1 hour, 14 seconds. A now much more powerful Guima due to all the souls the Saja boys have harvested, because hate grows in strength the more it propagates itself. This also happens in the Matrix until it threatens to destroy all of society. Just read Begin Transmission already. Pulls Genu back to the underworld. Guima. That's funny. I thought for a moment you actually believed you could be free. Because if you really believed her, if you really thought you could escape what you are, what you did, you would have told her the truth. You betrayed your own family. You left them behind. Don't forget about our deal, Genu, because I can turn those voices up, or they can be gone. Don't think you can escape what you are. Genu betrayed his family and quote-unquote left them behind, and Guima calls this a betrayal. But when we transition and our cis family and friends and society don't accept us, that is not a betrayal. We weren't lying to everyone. We were trying to be who they said we had to be. They lied explicitly and implicitly by acting like cis was all we could ever be. See Societal Gaslighting in episode 95 and Cis Spousal Support in episode 71, and the essay on cis grief at
Tilly'sTransTuesdays.com
for more. And also, this is super important. You used to be required to leave your family, friends, and life behind in order to access medical transition care. It was required of us by cis people. Listen to episode 60 on Transmedicalism for more on those horrors that cis people put us through. This is what society does to us. Tells us there's no such thing as trans people. We're not trans. We can't be trans. Being trans is wrong and bad. Okay, well, if you must be trans, you have to pretend to be cis and never let anyone know you're trans and leave all your loved ones behind. They probably don't support you in this anyway. And then they blame trans people for abandoning our families. And that is some effing insidiousness. Also, a very real issue many of us still deal with today is being abandoned by our families once we come out. And they put the blame for their choices on us. See the 2022 U.S. Trans Survey Report, Parts 1 and 2 in episodes 69 and 70, and Parts 3 and 4 in episodes 123 and 124 for all the statistics on that. 1 hour, 1 minute, 20 seconds. Rumi rides the magic tiger back, and we again get a flashback.
Tiger.
I know, it's so great.
So good.
We again get a flashback of Celine telling Rumi, nothing can change until your patterns are gone. Breaking that conditioning is really, really hard, especially when we don't have examples we can look to of other people who've already transitioned and are happy and prove it's possible. 1 hour, 1 minute, 52 seconds. Huntrix discusses how the diss track isn't the right song to win the contest, and it won't unite their fans because it doesn't even unite them. Hate is like that. Mira, I know our faults and fears must never be seen, but look, I'm kind of a difficult person, overly blunt, short-fused, highly aggressive. My whole life those things were a liability, but somehow with you guys, they're okay. Zoe, I feel the same way. Before I joined Huntrix, I felt like my thoughts and my lyrics And all my notebooks were just useless and weird, but with the two of you, they mean something. I mean something. The importance here is just what we were talking about a minute ago, that cis people don't and can't fully understand what it is like to be trans, but they know what it is like to be shunned for who you are and to have expectations to live up to that don't align with who you are. They can empathize with us on other levels, if they want to. Rumi. I'm afraid of losing you guys too. All these fears, it's the demons talking. But tomorrow we can win this war, and when the Hanmoon is sealed, we'll be free of these demons, free of these fears forever. Rumi then says after, maybe they can relax and go to the bathhouse, because she believes her patterns will be gone. She can ignore her transness and just be like the other cis girls. They decide to sing Golden for the contest. Rumi. It's a song about the best of us. I mean, is it though? Rumi's still hoping this will all just go away. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 4 seconds. As Mira and Zoe get lured away by demons, Rumi sings Golden on her own, and the Hanmoon starts turning gold. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 20 seconds. The power cuts out. Golden stops dead. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 54 seconds. The demons take the form of Mira and Zoe and switch the song to the confrontational Takedown, which Huntrix decided not to use because it was not who they are.
Okay, but how did the demons know Takedown?
It's a good question.
That's a great question.
They rip off parts of her costume, exposing her demon patterns. Rumi's terrified of how people are going to react. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 30 seconds. The demons whisper to Rumi, we know what you are. You're a demon, a mistake. You have been since the day you were born. They're forcefully outing her to the entire world so that she'll be rejected and it will feed the anti-trans hate. Removing our ability to come out as trans on our own terms is something that happens all too often. Listen to episode 130 of this podcast for more. Jeremy, I want to get your thoughts on this for a second because I feel like this is something that I struggled with so much early on, is that I did feel like if I was trans, that was a bad thing to be because society had taught me to be ashamed of that. Like that wasn't a thing to be proud of. It was a problem to be fixed. There was something wrong with you if you were trans. And like, did you struggle with any of that at all? Did you absorb those same societal messages?
I think I absorbed similar messaging regarding my Asianness, or I
Sure.
should say perceived whiteness. I remember trying to join the Korean Student Association in college because I felt I needed more Korean friends and acquaintances, and I went, and it wasn't great because the meetings were all in Korean, so I was just kind of like, I have no idea what's going on. And I would hang out
Oh.
with them afterwards, and I had this bizarre interaction with these female students who were I was at like a essentially it was like a house party, and these women were cooking up a storm. I mean, they were making all of this food, and it must have been like almost midnight. And they were asking me who I knew in the association, and I said, I don't know anyone here. And then one of them kind of looks at me and says, are you friends with white people? And I said, yeah. And all of them started giggling. And then one of them was like, ask. Ask me what? Do white people like pizza? And I said, yeah. And they thought it was the funniest thing. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And I
Whoa.
realized I wasn't part of that culture. And there is a difference between Korean American and mainland Korean.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I just definitely didn't know how to exist in that space. And to be quite honest, when I came out as non-binary, because I also didn't know enough about all of this stuff. And I remember I was doing a book signing, and this person came up, and it was during COVID, so everybody had masks, and but
Yeah.
was tall and somewhat femme presenting, and was saying, thank you for writing this trans story. As a trans person, I just really related to it. And I thought, whoa, I'm not trans, I'm non-binary. Like I didn't know. And I
Yeah.
said it to my co-creator, and she's like, babe, it's all under the same umbrella. I was like, oh, I was like, I am now today years old that I knew I'm learning this as I go. And so yeah, the idea of like, oh, I'm also part of that community. And I think sometimes because I'm not firmly, I'm not androgynous enough, and I'm not male enough or male presenting enough or femme presenting enough, whatever it may be, that sometimes
Yeah.
I there's a bit of imposter about my own transness, I think.
Yeah, I think we're all taught to sort of gatekeep ourselves in so many different ways, and it's a really insidious thing. Although, when you bring that up about Made in Korea, I do want to say, and thank you for this specifically, that there was one panel in the book that is like seared into my brain because it explicitly showed a trans woman's body. And that is something that is so rarely seen, that I've never seen in another book, that like this is explicitly a trans woman's body. It is not sexualized. It is not portrayed as a monster. It's just here. And that meant a lot to me. So thank you for including that in the book.
I have to give all credit to Gigi because we had lots of conversations about it, and I think it wouldn't have, and none of that stuff would have ended up in the book hadn't we been on our own journeys with it.
Yeah. Even little stuff like that, though, can be so important in representation terms. So that it meant a lot to me. So
I guess I'll add, like, Jeremy, your experience, like, joining the Korean club, and then they all just spoke Korean. Like, it's interesting living in Los Angeles, and there's a lot of people from Mexico,
yeah.
families from Mexico, and there's a large percentage of the children of those relationships that do not speak Spanish at all.
Their parents,
Mm,
a lot of them, their parents raised them that way to help them assimilate,
Yeah,
which for better or worse, into American culture.
right. And so it does happen, like, every so often.
And they've talked, some of them are our friends, and they've talked with us about how they feel like they can't connect with their own community for the same reasons because they're sort of ostracized for not speaking Spanish when it was not their choice. It was.
Well, I specifically remember one animated show that was on for a little while that there was a lot of backlash against it because it had Mexican culture in it, and some of the words were mispronounced or used in a way that were used by
Non-native
Spanish
Spanish speaker
oh,
Mexicans who live in.
and
Yeah.
they were doing that to show their experience
Right.
mm,
as being of these two worlds.
Right.
And it was like a big freaking deal.
Yeah.
It was wild. But yeah, I think it's interesting and more common than people realize.
Yeah.
yeah, and the assumptions too. The same thing has happened in the adoptee communities with, transracial adoptees, where this idea of assimilation, like why make it more difficult for the child by instilling and promoting the culture they've come from because it's not the culture that they're being raised in. But I've come to realize it does a huge disservice for the child because then they're left with this fractured identity that they have to
Yeah.
piece together somehow, if they even have the capability to do it, for the rest of their life. And I had met Korean adoptees whose parents learned the cuisine, learned some of the language. And I remember as a teen, I thought it was so bizarre. I thought it was like it just was strange and weird, and I didn't like it because I
Yeah.
also didn't view myself as Asian or Korean. I was like, I'm white. And I used to say,
Right.
this is a facade. I'm a white person. And I cringe thinking about how I used to say that all of the time.
Yeah. But that's part of like that's what our society does to every marginalized community. I think it forces us to try to be like white people in so many ways.
It's a very sort of white viewpoint.
It
Where
is.
it's like, our differences don't matter.
Yeah, I don't see
So you don't
color.
need to learn about your own
You don't need
culture.
to learn about the different
Yeah.
cultures because it doesn't matter. And it's like,
It's the whole I don't see color. Okay,
right,
you're
yeah,
racist.
it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not the
It's the
answer
not
either.
yeah, the not I don't see color as something I was told, and it was a bit of programming, which I understand, but
Yeah.
also it's predicated under this assumption that you're not going to view your life the way you see it or what you see in the mirror. You're going to view it through the way we see it, which is through this white lens. And
Right.
it's like that's not helpful because not everybody views life, even though it's being pressed upon all of us all the time.
Right.
Yeah, right. So you get the white lens, you get the cis lens, you get the hetero lens, and we're all sort of compulsorily forced into these things.
This is the default.
Right. And
Which is icky.
it's awful.
The thing I've tried to tell my mom and really anybody is there's true strength and power in the ability to sit with discomfort,
Yeah.
and there's so much to learn from it. And I get the instinct to run from it because no one likes to feel uncomfortable with themselves, with something they've heard or seen. But if you can just build the constitution to sit with it, you can evolve. And I think that is sort of the life hack there that obviously I'm in therapy, and I think everybody should try it sometime. But yeah, just sitting with discomfort is really empowering.
It is, especially if you can get to the point where you can examine why you feel the way you do. And I feel like that's also a very trans thing is all the introspection we have to do to figure ourselves out. A lot of us are very good at being like, well, why do I feel the way I feel? What is going on with my emotions and my thoughts right now? And so getting to the heart of that is so important to growing as a person. So I absolutely love that you said that.
Yeah, I think being part of your journey as well.
Yeah.
And also the work that I have done in my own deprogramming
Yeah.
that women are supposed to hate each other and ourselves.
Sure.
Like, and then going from that point forward and then being part of your journey. And I think like it makes us all better people and
Yeah.
much more accepting of each other just in general. Like
Yeah.
understanding, oh, you've got some work to unpack here. Like there's some stuff going on that I don't want to be a part of, and I hope you get help for that.
Even understanding this discomfort is my problem, not this person's. If
Right.
I'm uncomfortable with something, that means I have an issue to work on. It doesn't mean they need to change at all. And that's a really important thing to figure out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with family dynamics or even friend dynamics, the discomfort we feel or when we have our buttons pushed, so to speak, I learned years ago in therapy that, the buttons that my family push that activate me in the worst ways were ones that they installed. And so to be able to
Yeah.
just disable them was truly life affirming because I remember I was with family and I immediately recognized when they were trying to push those buttons, whether they noticed or not. And I there was a distance to it where I was like, I'm not reacting, I'm not engaging with this, I'm not directing the traffic. And you can mash
Yeah.
that button all you want, but it's out of service. Like, sorry.
I love that so much. And yeah, like being around aggressively cishet couples makes me uncomfortable, but that's my problem, not theirs. They don't have to change for me.
Mhm.
So 1 hour, 7 minutes, 41 seconds. Rumi screams with her demon voice again. The transy lights shatter. They're also representative of the blue of the Han moon / closet and the pink of the demons / trans people. Her demon patterns glow in the dark. She is alone, scared, in the only remaining spotlight in the dark. She's out, and the whole world can see her for who she truly is. 1 hour, 8 minutes, 6 seconds. Rumi runs off stage, meets the real Mira and Zoe. As she steps toward them, they step back, eyes wide in shock, rejection. Zoe, how do you have patterns? Rumi, these were supposed to be gone. You were never supposed to see. Mira, you were hiding this from us the whole time? Rumi, no, I have a plan to erase them. I was using Genu to fix all this, to fix me, so we could all do our duty. We could all be strong, be together. Zoe, how could we be together if we can't tell your lies from your truths, Rumi? Yes, it is your fault for not telling us about the thing that would make us hate and reject you, not our fault for hating you for who you really are. This is sadly the standard cis transphobe line of thinking. 1 hour, 9 minutes, 1 second. Rumi, no, don't leave. I can still fix it. Unfix it. Her voice warps and sounds demonic and sends more pink ripples through the Han moon. 1 hour, 9 minutes, 17 seconds. Mira and Zoe raise their demon-slaying weapons, ready to oppress the person they claimed to care about. Rumi cries and runs away. Rejected by those she loves for the truth of who she is. It is an incredibly awful bit of bullshit that way too many trans people have to deal with. And that is where we're going to leave it this week. Thanks again for being here, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me.
Next week, we wrap it all up with truth, acceptance, and you will see why this allegory that speaks to us in so many ways is imperfect. Tilly Bridges, end transmission. Tilly's Trans Tuesdays is hosted by Tilly Bridges and Susan Bridges with audio editing and sound mixing by Jillian Morgan. The written essay version of this week's topic and all past topics is available at tillystranstuesdays.com. Special thanks to Daisy and Jane for the use of Sorry Not Sorry as our show's theme music. Please stop by and show your support at daisyandjane.bandcamp.com and soundcloud.com/daisyandjane. You can find me at Tilly Bridges on Blue Sky, on Mastodon at Tilly Bridges and Mastodon.social, and on Insta at Heck Yeah Tilly Bridges. And you can find Susan on those at Susan L. Bridges. You can find Jillian at Audio Jillian on Blue Sky. You can join the Tillyverse Discord server by following the link at the very bottom of TillysTransTuesdays.com. We hold regular watch parties for the Matrix films and other trans movies, where I do a live Q&A, and it's blossomed into a wonderfully supportive, compassionate, kind community of friends. We'd love to have you join us. If you'd like to keep up with all the writing that Susan and I do, you can sign up for our newsletter at birdguestbroadcast.com. Signed copies of our comics and my book, Begin Transmission, The Trans Allegories of the Matrix, are available on my coffee shop at ko-fi.com/tillybridges. If you're listening on YouTube, it's so cliche, but please like and subscribe and take a few seconds to leave a comment. Those feed the algorithm and helps the show be found by so many more people. If you're listening on other platforms, ratings and reviews help just as much, and I'd certainly appreciate them. Thank you for your support. For more information, visit pendantaudio.com. Thanks for listening.